Good evening everybody, welcome back to a Chart Nerd technical analysis video. Today we will be analyzing TEL coin, and it's been about roughly 10 days since I've done any coverage on the project, but it's holding support extremely well. Now we do have the crypto summit tomorrow and we are expecting some volatility around these events, so we do need to be cautious with where we tread here in the near short term. But today we're going to discuss some potential outlooks in the for the short term, and also for the macro outlook. So nothing that I say is financial advice. Let's dive into the content. So first off, I wanted to come over to X and sort of retouch on the last update that I did, and this was one of the main fractals that I had, and I said that TEL coin had created a flipped support resistance zone on 0.007 whilst retesting its daily 55 EMA next leg up soon. So in this image you can see that we had this previous level of resistance that TEL coin was struggling to break out for quite a long time. In fact, it was from sort of December of 2024 all the way up until mid-February. So we was under this key level of resistance for a long time, but whilst we was under this resistance, we was holding this 55 EMA beautifully every time we got rejected. So the 55 was gradually creeping the price up here whilst we was under this resistance. We got squeezed into an apex into February and eventually broke out and put in this local high of this year. Now we did have a pattern that we was monitoring also in the previous update where we had a symmetrical triangle which could have broke out either to the upside or the downside, and when we last updated this video, which was on the 25th of February, I do believe, yeah, I posted this on the 25th, TEL coin had the wick down to that 55 EMA that it was holding all in this uptrend before under this consolidation period and resistance, and now it's back tested it for a flipped SR. So this previous level of resistance that we was trying to break out of, we've now come back down to and had back tested it in a wick. So fast forward to TEL coin today and analyzing the same fractal where we had the daily 55 EMA retest, which was when I last did the update on the 25th of February. You can see that this level of support has genuinely been holding pretty well. We did have the wick on the 4th of March, which brought TEL coin back down to 0.0066, but those were pushed back up, and you can see that the candle closes remained above this 0.007 flipped SR. Now, we do have this descending level of resistance on our head that every time we've come back down to this sort of area and tried to break out, you can see we've run into a key level of resistance. So you've got this descending resistance, and we also have created a support resistance zone on these previous candle highs here. So you can see that we were sort of squeezing here, coming back down to support. We lost this level of support, which was at 0.010, and then we came back down for the flipped SR on this 0.007 range, and then ran back into the previous support and met it as resistance. So just to make it clear, you can see that for quite a while, for a good few days, probably a week or so, this 0.010 was acting as support, and we had this resistance on our head, and we failed to break out of it every time we came down to support. We eventually lost it and then ran back into it as resistance. So this was a previous support zone that is now being met as resistance, and within doing so, this is why TEL coin is again pushed back down to this 55 EMA. So you can see that the 55 EMA is a crucial moving average to hold here on the daily time frame to invalidate any further downside. Now again, coming back to the point that we do have the summit tomorrow, we are expecting volatility. Does this wick have the potential to be filled? Yes, it does. If we start closing below the daily 55 with candle closes, which hasn't actually happened until we got this last sort of fake out here and this massive wick as well back in early February. So if we do get a candle close out of below this 55 EMA, it could be a sign that we are going to be looking for short term some more depreciative price action. But albeit considered, I wouldn't, in my opinion, necessarily worry too much or have a grand concern. TEL coin has printed some mega bullish signals, and I will look at the macro in a minute to show you that even if we do continue to pull back from here, the charts are still extremely healthy, and I think it would just be adhering to certain climates conditions within the market, and TEL coin wouldn't be an outlier if it was to do so. Now again, I'm going to get this descending resistance line that we had on here. So we've got this descending resistance that every time we come into, we're failing to break out of at the moment. And we've also got this sort of horizontal resistance right here at 0.010, which is a key level of resistance now to reclaim. So initially you could sort of say that we're stuck between 0.010 and 0.007, and we've got the 55 EMA, which is holding us up as support right now, whilst we sort of wait for a decision, and we're sort of just caught between this range awaiting to see what happens. Again, if we do just unnecessarily come down and hold this as support and start getting the break of this descending resistance, I think that 0.010 could come pretty soon. But at the same time, if we do start coming down here and losing this, then we will have to analyze further support targets moving forward in the near short term. So one way that we could look at this on the daily time frame is by getting a Fibonacci on from the local high that we're retracing from back down to this wick low of the 3rd of February. Now, key support levels for me that stick out like a sore thumb straight away would be the 050, which is this flipped SR zone really and truly at 0.007. This is a key level of support at the moment, so we could see relief initially coming back to this sort of zone, and you can see that it does tie up relatively well with the prior sort of candles of resistance from back in late January to mid-February. You know, this was a very strong resistance zone right here that we were struggling to break out of. We could initially just be coming back to back test this zone on the 050. Now, failing that, then we next move on to the 0618, which would act as also as another level of support. And then the last but not least resort before actually retracing to this one fib is the 0786 and the 78% retracement back down to 0.005. So right now, I think that Telcoin is holding support beautifully above this previous level of resistance, and you can see we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days above this level of previous resistance that's now acting as support. So right now 0.007 is the key price to monitor. If we start closing below that, then I think it gives way to the fact that we could be coming back down to fill in this wick from the 4th of March and actually coming back to retest that. And we could see this potentially be, this is a sort of wave 1, this is a wave 2, this was a initial wave 3, this is a wave 4, and then potentially getting the wave 5 either down to the 050, again at 0.0072. If that holds, fantastic, but failing that, I think we could get the extension going down to 0.006. So that's something to keep our eyes on there. Key levels of support, but right now we are holding above this flipped SR zone on 0.007. And if we do initially come back any deeper, just look for the potential filling in of this wick and the completion of that wave 5 on those support targets I just gave us. But right now it does look strong. This looks like we've had a sort of consolidation period underneath a key level of resistance. The 55 EMA forced us up for the breakout, and right now we're just correcting in a phase back down to a key level of support, looking for continuation of the trend. So I think initially right now it's holding very, very well, but start seeing closes below this daily 55, multiple closes. I do think that this wick has the potential to get filled in over the next week, so keep your eyes on that, guys. And again, that brings it back down to 0.0066. Now, to see any sort of bullish momentum or relief from here, because I've just given you sort of not bearish but short-term negative price action if we can't hold this previous level of support that is now a flipped SR zone. So just going to get that back on there pretty simply for now. If Telcoin can sort of manage to come down and sort of hold this level of support, again, I think it's just very important that we actually break out of this descending resistance. And if it does start to do that over the next couple of days or coming week, this could be the sign that we're building the structure to continue the leg up. And this wick here, if it gets partially filled in, 50-60% of that wick, which would be, let's have a look where that would also be. So going from this local high back down to the wick low, if we see it's already actually hit 50% of the initial downtrend from this local high back down to this wick low. But if we see it come down any further, again, it's just a high to low 0.007 that potentially could still act as support here. And I think just holding this and again getting the breakout of that descending resistance would be the confirmational signal that you're looking to retrace back to this high. And this is just a corrective phase looking for continuation of the trend to get us out of the woods and take us onto higher targets. Now, if Telcoin does decide to break up and doesn't retrace any lower than this wick here, I think the next impulsive target would be a minimum up to the 1272 at 0.015 on the next impulsive move. And again, I think if we get even more impulsive than that on the next short to midterm move, you're looking at 0.019 at the 1618 fib extension. So, you know, when this thing really gets moving, it gets moving. But I think right now it's just in this corrective phase, coming back to a key level of support, looking for a breakout and continuation of the trend. Key resistance to break out of in regards to fib levels as well, if you look right here, is the 0618 and the 05. So right now the key level of resistance, this is a perfect example, guys, right here. You can see that this level right here, okay, was a previous level of support. It eventually got lost and now confirmed as resistance. So these are the key support resistance levels, we need to break out of as well in order to see continuation up to these bullish targets in the near short to midterm. So you've got 0.009/1. This, I think 0.01, if we call it, is the key level of resistance to reclaim in order to see the price action getting back to the highs that we've come back down from. So if you do see a breakout anytime soon, that is the level to watch out for, 0.01. Breaking above that, I think we're good for this retracement back to this local high and then to these targets in the near short to midterm. Now, just sort of zooming out here from the daily. Now, if we go to the monthly time frame and we get the 20 EMA on, I've been analyzing a bull cross, which is literally, if we zoom in here, Telcoin is about to form its first monthly 20 and 55 EMA bull cross. And this is why I have little concern about this sort of really short, shallow retracement or how deep this comes, because I think all it's doing is it's broken out. It's come back to back test it, pumped out again. And if it does come back any lower, I think this will be the final opportunity to get in before it starts sending to 20 cents. And this is, again, one of the most bullish signals that can be printed on a chart. This monthly bull cross, they do not come around very often. And if we did have the 55 data, you could imagine that there would have been a death cross. So for example, if we sort of, this is gonna be really rough, guys, but if we had a death cross somewhere in the past, I think somewhere in the previous, we also would have had a bull cross. I think this would have been a little bit further down here somewhere. But I think there would have been a bull cross around this time of sort of March 2021 that propelled Telcoin up to these highs. And again, that bull cross is potentially what's forming again right this second. So right now, all this is above these EMAs is noise. Okay, and I think that we definitely hold above the two EMAs, which sit at 0.004. Okay, 4.2 and 4.2. They're literally very close to each other because they're about to cross. So I don't think I don't think Telcoin comes down any lower than 0.04. And these EMAs are going to be creeping up over time and gradually starting to push the price up, just like the daily 55 EMA has been doing ever since we've got caught on that consolidation range under that 0.007 resistance. Okay, when you're above the EMAs and holding them in an uptrend, these are fantastic signs. And you've got higher highs and higher lows that are gradually working up here on the daily, and again on the monthly. You can see it's a very similar structure. Okay, we had this long sort of accumulation base, which went on for a couple of years from 2022. And you can see that eventually from the local lows, higher lows are building and we've got higher highs in structure. So we're gradually climbing up the stairs here, looking for the next leg up. So I've got no concerns whatsoever with Telcoin. It's printed massive bullish signals right now on the monthly time frame. I think all the daily time frame and all this noise within the market is what I just said, noise. And I think it should be ignored. And what we're really looking for is this move here up to 20 cents in the long run. So for the first time in its history, a monthly 20-55 EMA bull cross is inches away from forming. In this rare instance, the 20 and 55 EMAs will and are acting as a catalyst during this pump. This could continue pushing Telcoin to 20 cents. So you've got the ascending resistance, which is missing a third point of contact. And we have 1, 2, 3 points of contact on ascending support. So 3 on ascending support and only 2 on ascending resistance. This gives likelihood with the bullish cross on the monthly that over the next few months, I think Telcoin will eventually push to this ascending resistance, which sits very close to 20 cents and is also the 1272 fib extension, if I'm correct. I think that's very true because I've covered it so many times. So the macro outlook looks fantastic, and it's literally analyzing a rinse repeat of the prior move back in 2021. But this cycle, we've got the strategic reserve, you've got the banking license for Nebraska that got approved. Telcoin's announcing so many partnerships. There's bullish news everywhere, and there's just ugly sentiment around the whole market at the moment. So guys, just focus on the projects that are building. Telcoin is one of them. And again, with the US regulations and being a US based project, I think this is going to do exceptionally well. this cycle, and 20 cents is definitely a possibility. Now, nothing that I say is financial advice. I hope you've enjoyed the content, guys. From ChartNerd TA, take care. Peace out.